Hey guys, so in this video, I'm just going to show you how to move from your article to your summary chunking and then into actually writing your summary. So I started out with this article that I found today in the New York Times. It's really interesting. This author who wrote this book called The Great Influenza, the story of the deadliest pandemic in history, so he has a lot of experience like thinking about pandemics, wrote this opinion piece in the New York Times about this thing called the Great Barrington Declaration, which is a proposal that scientists have put forward talking about ways to shift policy towards building up the immunity of the American people so that we can sort of move through the coronavirus more quickly. And it's pretty interesting. So I'm going to read the first couple paragraphs, and I want you to just follow along with me so that you can get a gist of what the article is about. And then I'm going to show you sort of what I did with it next. So this is herd immunity or mass murder. A proposal to let people with low-risk infection live without constraint could lead to 1 million or more preventable deaths. So right there, when I'm reading this, I'm thinking, okay, it sounds like he's actually not for this. So no matter their politics, people nearly always listen to those who say what they want to hear. Hence, it is no surprise that the White House and several governors are now paying close attention to the Great Barrington Declaration, a proposal written by a group of well-credentialed scientists who want to shift COVID-19 policy toward achieving herd immunity, the point at which enough people have become immune to the virus that its spread becomes unlikely. They would do this by allowing, quote, those who are at minimal risk of death to live their lives normally. This, they say, will allow people to build up immunity to the virus through natural infection while better protecting those who are at highest risk. We call this focused protection. So interestingly, this guy is actually summarizing that other piece. So he goes on to say these academics are clearly a distinct minority. Most of their public health colleagues have condemned their proposal as unworkable and unethical, even as amounting to, quote, mass murder, as William Hasseltine, a former Harvard Medical School professor who now heads the Global Health Foundation, put it to CNN last week. But who's right? The signers of the declaration do have a point. Restrictions designed to limit deaths cause real harm, including, but by no means limited to, stress on the economy, increases in domestic violence and drug abuse, declines in tests that screen for cancer, and on and on. Those living alone suffer real pain from isolation, and the young have every reason to feel bitter over the loss of substantive education and what should have been memories of high school prom or the bonding of friendships that form in college dorm at 2 a.m. or on an athletic team or in some other endeavor. So the idea of returning to something akin to normal, releasing everyone from a kind of jail, is attractive, even seductive. It becomes less seductive when one examines 3 enormously important omissions from the declaration. Now, he goes on to say that it makes no mention of harm to infected people in low-risk groups, yet many people recover very slowly. So he's saying that that you can actually end up with heart damage. The next thing he says is that it doesn't really say how to protect people who are super vulnerable. And then the last one, which seems the most important to me, he's saying it will actually kill a lot of people doing this. And then you can see the article continues, but just for the sake of time and what we're doing here today, I think that you just need to get a little idea about what it is that he's saying. So I now have cut and paste my article into a document. That's where you guys are supposed to put it under where it says your article, right? So it took me a minute. I had to just cut and paste it and then delete some pictures that were in it. But here's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to chunk this article into main ideas. So that way, when I write my summary, I know what are the big ideas that I need to hit upon. So first, the author introduces this Great Barrington Declaration, right? So I need to say that and also tell what it is. So that pretty much goes to here, right? So I'm going to say Barry introduces his readers to the new proposal, right? I don't need to get into nitty-gritty details for now. This is just to help me chunk it. So that was all of this section is sort of the same thing, just him introducing it. This next paragraph is its own chunk. It's basically him saying, but however, let's start with that word. However, the author points out that many Scientists do not agree with the proposal. Okay, there we go. 2 chunks. Great example of how one chunk can be huge and another can be pretty small, right? Because it doesn't matter how much writing it is, it matters what the ideas are. So the next couple of paragraphs that you guys heard, he's sort of talking about like why it is nice to move into to go from this super restricted lifestyle to one that is a little bit more open when we can get back to our regular lives, right? So Barry notes that there are many significant reasons why the American people want to move back towards a normal way of life. Now, he's saying this whole section is him being like, but this is crazy. A ton of people might die, right? And also, like, we're not saying what we're doing with these vulnerable people. And also, that coronavirus actually can do some major damage to you. So it's not to be as lightly taken. If just because it doesn't kill you doesn't mean it's not doing damage to you. Okay, so the author then lists several factors which he claims are, he said, omitted from the proposal, right? And when I'm writing this sentence, I'm going to list what those are. But for now, that's just the next chunk, is that he's listing those factors. Okay, so I'm going to stop there, but you're going to see, I think you guys have an idea of what I'm doing, right? So it doesn't matter how big the chunks are. What matters are the main ideas. You're hitting upon all the main ideas that the author's saying. Okay, now that I have done that, I am ready to move into writing my summary. So I started my paper with my proper heading, my name, the instructor's name, this should say composition, right? Class name, and then the date. So now I'm ready to start writing. So for my first sentence, I'm just gonna keep it simple and tag this title, author, genre for this piece. So in his article, now it's in a positive, I'm naming the article, so I need a comma. Herd immunity for murder. Notice that I'm doing everything exactly how the author did in listing it. In his article, herd immunity or mass murder, John M. Barry. Okay, now the first sentence should be the gist of the entire article, right? So John M. Barry discusses a new proposal, scientific proposal, how about scientific proposal to achieve, and I'm going to put herd immunity in quotes because he's using that term, and I know that he didn't coin it, but it's an important one. To achieve herd immunity in the United States in an effort to, and then I'm going to use this quotation right here because I think it's important. I might not use all the words, but I'm going to dump the whole thing in here, right? In an effort to get to the point at which enough people have become immune to the virus that its spread becomes unlikely. So that's a big, long quotation, and I don't think I need all of that. But I'm going to take enough people have become immune to the virus that I'm going to use these words. So watch what I do here. I'm going to, the words that I put in quotations I want to use. The other ones I'm going to paraphrase it in my own words. So a scientific proposal to achieve herd immunity in the United States so that enough people become, see how I took out a word and I just put that in there? But actually now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I could just do this. So that enough people are immune to the virus and its spread becomes unlikely. Okay, that's the point. He discusses the scientific proposal, right? I don't need to say exactly what he's saying because I'm going to be getting to that as I move through my points. So my first point that I said was that he said he introduces it. So that's what I need to say. Barry begins by introducing the Great Barrington Declaration, written by, well, I'm going to use his words, well-credentialed scientists. Say written and proposed. Well-credentialed scientists. This actually seems important to me, that those who are at minimal risk of death to live their lives normally. So the declaration proposes that minimal risk of death, that people, I'm going to use that line, minimal risk of death continue their lives as normal. Actually, let me say continue their normal lives. So then here, focus protection. In their normal lives to, I guess it's like a sort of a spread that is building up immunity to help the general public build up immunity while protecting more vulnerable people. Okay, that's it. That's my first point. Now my second one is just to say, however, Barry notes that many scientists disagree. Next. However, there are many scientists. Barry notes that there are many significant reasons why American people want to move back towards a normal way of life. So, I'm just going to say that. Nope, I have to use the author as the subject. So, the author admits that there are a number of important reasons to get back to a more normal way of life, including, so he says something about the economy first, right? So I'm right up here. Limited deaths cause real harm, stress on the economy, so including economic stress, drug abuse, problems with drug abuse, and limited preventative health screenings, because he's talking about cancer screenings, preventative health screenings. Next, what was my next big point? The author then lists several factors which he claims are omitted from the proposal. So, despite these reasons, the author quickly, or I just said the author, so I'm going to go back to Barry. Barry quickly lists 3 crucial omissions from the proposal namely, and then I'm gonna actually list these three things that he said, right? Current COVID has lasting health effects besides death, right? Also, it ignores or it neglects to specifically name how to protect people who are, now I want to use this word vulnerable that he uses, right? So I'm going to put it in quotation marks. And third one was many people will die. Now, this is a list, and I was looking back and forth as I read it, so I want to make sure that's parallel. So despite these reasons, very quickly list three crucial omissions from the proposal. And I think I'm going to switch to a colon here. Here's the three. COVID has lasting health effects beyond, I'm going to say beyond death. Now this it is a little bit just not, what am I referring to? So the proposal neglects to specifically name how to protect people vulnerable and does not discuss how many people will die. I just changed the way this is written so it sounds a little bit better to me. It ignores the lasting health effects of coronavirus beyond death. Neglects to specifically name how to protect people who are vulnerable and does not discuss how many people will die. Now I'm going to go to the next thing that I chunked. We didn't actually keep doing this, and just sort of move through the entire article. So I would say this would end up being about double of what it is, maybe, but you'll note that it's not half of the article, right? It's a lot less writing than is in the actual article. So that's just a way to, I hope that's useful for you to see how I moved from this article here, right, to chunking it in this, in my own document, and then to moving into writing my summary. So this is what you guys are working on this week. And I'm going to give you now through through Thursday to get your summaries finished. Okay, so I know that some of you started them already. Just make sure that you are doing it in the same manner that I was doing it here. All right, so thank you for taking the time to watch this, and good luck with your writing. Reach out to me if you need anything.